Hi, this is Sunam Pradhan, and welcome to this webinar, Mobile Application Development. Before I start the presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very brief introduction of myself, what I've been doing, and what I've done, and what I know about this mobile application development. And then after, I'm going to discuss what is mobile applications, what do we need to do to develop mobile apps. And then after that, we've got an IT graduate, Louis, who is going to discuss, give you a little bit of brief about his experience studying at RMIT. All my undergraduate and postgraduate degrees are in software development. I've been teaching for the last nearly 16 years. My main area is software engineering and project management. So in software engineering, I've been teaching Java, C++ programming, but recently, last few years, I've been teaching mobile application development. And I also teach IT project management. So basically in IT project management, I do supervise undergraduate and postgraduate Capstone projects. If you don't know what Capstone project is, I'm going to discuss that later in the presentations as well. In terms of industry experience, I've worked as an analyst programmer. So during my work as an analyst programmer, I've worked in e-commerce company where I have to design a websites as per the client requirements. It's basically e-commerce websites where I have worked with. In terms of research, I started research after I completed my master's degree. I started research in web services transactions. Basically, in web services transactions, how do we make the data more secure? There are lots of transactions on the web, and I'm trying to create some middleware layers where we make our data more reliable and more secure. In the last few years after that, I've changed my research area into mobile applications. How can we use mobile applications in health sectors? So I've worked in Blue Watch project. Blue Watch project is very similar to this iWatch and Samsung Watch. Basically, we're using a sensors to monitor the patients and keeping a record and analyze the data and provide some informative feedback to different types of users. I've been working on this project for the last few years. And I also worked in SD3D telemedicine project. In this project, what my role was as a programmer, I've designed this website using JavaScript, CSS, and jQuery. So in this project, the nurse used to take a picture of a patient using 3D camera. Especially this is more helpful at remote areas. They take the pictures of the patients and then they upload the information on the website. At the other end, the doctors, they look into the pictures and they give feedback on the website, and the nurse used to provide information to the patients, looking at that pictures and giving information to the patients. So this is very helpful in the remote areas where the patients can't get help of doctors, specialists. The nurse is able to help the patients contacting with the doctors. There are currently 4.7 billion mobile phone users in the world, which means nearly 64% of the people there have mobile phones. So that is quite a huge. The current population is 7.4 billion, so that means 64% of the people there have mobile phones. They're using mobile phones. So by 2017, there will be 5 billion people using mobile phones. And only, so if you look into this picture there, so only in Asia Pacific, in 2017, it's going to be 2.9 billion people. They will be using mobile phones. That's quite a huge market. Yeah. Now, if you look into China, they have 1.28 million subscribers, and it's increasing. 66 million people are adding. They're increasing. They're subscribing every month. So that means it's quite big. It's more than the total number of cars, credit cards, anything in the world. So you can see there's a huge mobile phone users in the world. Yeah. Now, if you remember this guy, do you know this guy? This is a CEO of Google, ex-CEO, and what he said was, mobile is the future of software development. So it's a future because mobile phone, I'm pretty sure that you guys are using mobile apps, using mobile phone. So I've already asked you, why did you buy smartphones? And the reason is simple. You can control most of the things. So with the smartphones, with the apps, I can control my home light. I can start my car. I can check what's on the refrigerator. I can do a lot of things. So the whole future is the software development future is in mobile applications. So in future, everything will go mobile. Now, we used to design application for desktop. It's not going to be for desktop. It's not going to be for any other type of devices. So it's going to be for mobile devices. Yeah. So the future is mobile devices. Now, if you see all the global companies, like say Google, Samsung, Microsoft, all companies are going wild just because of mobile apps. So there are lots of IT companies, they are going wild because of mobile applications. Yeah. So mobile applications is a future. It's a platform for everything. So we can connect to people. We can do a lot of things. Now, so why mobile phone is so popular? Because it is a platform for us to connect to the world. It's a platform for us to work with people. It's a platform for our future health. And here you can see, so I'm pretty sure everyone has got Facebook. Yeah. Why do we use Facebook? To connect to the people. And like we use emails, we use Dropbox, we use Dropbox for cloud services for the work. We use like wearables, iWatch, smartwatches. There are a lot of things here where we control through our apps. And the next thing is IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. These days, everything is smart. We've got a smart camera, we've got a smartphone, we've got a smart TV, we've got a smart refrigerator. So these all smart things is which we can control these devices using as applications, mobile applications. The future is huge. So you can see everything we can do, we can control. So basically it's a platform for us to communicate with different types of people. Yeah. So we even to do our work, if you wanted to keep your health, so we use those in the wearables. And now I'm pretty sure that you guys might be playing this Pokemon Go, virtual reality, augmented reality. So there's a big future there, and this is all, because of mobile apps. Now, what is a mobile app? So mobile app is just a software applications which is designed to run on mobile devices. The mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets. Yeah. So these are a special type of software which are designed for those devices. So there are three types of mobile applications. If you're going to design mobile applications, there are three types of mobile applications: native apps, mobile web apps, and the hybrid apps. Okay, let's discuss about these three apps. So what are the native apps? So native apps are the mobile application software which are designed for specific devices, especially using the specific programming language. For example, if I wanted to do the application that you install on mobile phones, they are called native apps. And if you wanted to write those apps based on what platform you're going to use it, you need to create those applications on those platform, and then you install on that devices. So there are web applications. Web applications are basically, this is written using JavaScript, CSS, and HTML5. And these are just web pages. These are responsive web pages. So you can create a website, and if your website is responsive and you can use that web applications on your phone, then that type of application is called mobile web applications. And there is a hybrid apps. Basically, hybrid app is something where you use those HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can embed in the native apps. So that is something where between it is embedded into the native container. That is a hybrid apps. So, so there are 3 different types of apps. So if you're going to write apps, so you need to decide which apps you're going to create. So definitely the native apps is faster, whereas there's advantages and disadvantages. So if you write mobile apps, so then you don't need to worry about different types of platform. So you just upload your mobile web pages on the server, and if your website is responsive, then if you open that web applications on your smartphone, then you can use that applications. So some more information. So here, you can see that the difference is there. The first one is native. So this is like iOS, Android, and Windows Phone. These are the 3 top platforms that we use. So basically, these native applications are written for a specific platform using specific languages, which I'm going to discuss that later. And whereas the browser one, the web apps, so we use HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and here is the web code. And based on the web code, you run that on your smartphone. Native, this hybrid one, so native app, so which we've written for specific platform, iOS or Android or Windows Phone using specific language, and we also use some of the web technology like HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript and we embed that into this container, and we package it as a program. Then that is a hybrid. So here it's a combination of hybrid and the web technology. So that's the 3 types of applications. All right. Now here, this is the example of native apps, hybrid apps. So we know what the web apps is. So this WhatsApp, Viber, Snapchat, these are the examples of native app. So Uber, this Evernote, Instagram, these are examples of hybrid app. And recently, this Facebook and LinkedIn, they switched from hybrid app to native app. So if the reason we changed from hybrid app to native app is it's more faster, and we can use the smartphone features more easily than the web. Another thing is when you use the web browser, web app, so it requires internet connections, whereas to use the applications you don't need to have internet connections. Another thing is, only thing you need the internet connection is only to upload services or upload some information on the web or on the cloud. So for that reason, only we need internet connections. So we can use applications without internet connections. That is the native app. Yeah. Right. So let me explain the development environment. So if you wanted to develop iOS applications, then you need a MacBook or iMac, Apple product, and we are using Xcode as an IDE, integrated development environment, and we use Objective-C or Swift programming. Swift has been around for the last 2 years, just recently, so it's pretty good programming language. If you are creating Android, if you're creating applications for Android phones, then we use a Java programming language. Yeah. And we use Android Studio or Eclipse as an IDE. So that's an integrated development environment, so where you type your programming language. If you're creating a Windows Phone app, then we are using Visual Studio. And for the Visual Studio, we will be using C# or .NET in a framework. So that's the language, and that's the IDE. That's which we'll be using. Now, if you wanted to design just the web application, then you can design in any IDE, and you just have to use HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS, cascading style sheet technology, to create a responsive design website. And if your website is responsive, that what it means, the interface, the screen changes as per the screen sizes. That is called responsive. Now the there is a framework for hybrid applications. It's called Cordova, and this is an open source framework to create a hybrid applications. Yep. So these are the development environments if you are going to create mobile applications. So if you're going to use C programming, the syntax is completely different with Java and C#. Yeah. If you're using, for example, let's say you wanted apps for the cross-platform, then you can think of creating your apps in like the web apps, which is HTML5, JS, and CSS. So in that way, you don't have to think about writing in different platform. So that might be something which you might be looking at. But you need to understand that these web applications, they're not faster. And you cannot use, it's pretty difficult to use the features of the smartphone, like camera and other, like uploading, downloading files. And that might be some issues if you're creating a web application, something that you need to understand. If you write the native apps, it's faster. And you can use the resources of the smartphone. That's something which you can do. Now, this is industry, what they're doing is there is a cross-platform development environment. They're using that environment so that they design into one platform and they integrate into, they deploy into different platforms. And this is a new idea, new technology. That's what been in the industry, so that you don't have to code into 3 different platforms. So you code into one, and then you deploy into different iOS, Android, or Windows. It can be done that way as well. So that's what industry people, they're using that. Like the good example is Xamarin platform. Xamarin, there are many PhoneGap. There are quite a few cross-platform environment are available there as well. Okay. Now, someone said, I haven't done any programming before. Where do I start from? So for the Android part, have you heard this MIT App Inventor? So this is a Google product. And in this Google product, you can use drag and drop. If you know the basic logic of like loop, control structures, if else, then you can write your apps in 5 minutes. So it's pretty cool. You can try that, and this is a website for that. So this is for only Android, and this is a Google product, so you need to have a Gmail account. If you go to that link, if you have an account, it's web-based. You don't need to install anything. It's all web cloud-based, so browser. So create a project, and there's many examples available there as well. This is pretty cool, this App Inventor. So if you want to start, this is something which you can try on. And it doesn't cost anything. Free, open source. You don't need to download anything. You just need a Google account, and you can create. They're very good. You can see that if you go to that page, there are many very good applications written using App Inventor. And when I started teaching, I used this App Inventor as a first programming language as well, and students love this App Inventor. They can see that they can use the smartphones and control things easily there. Now, there's a lot of things happening on the health industry. There are a lot of apps that you can see, the smartwatch, iWatch, and people are using these things to monitor their health. And not only in this area, there in hospitals, we keep records using apps. We monitor things, processes using an app. There are a lot of things, a lot of apps. There are a lot of things can be done in that industry and what's happening. Mobile banking. All the banking these days, we can use the apps to do transactions, and it's easy to keep records. You can see your balance. You can do transactions. All the banks, they have mobile apps these days. Transportations. This is I use this timetable apps to see when my train is coming and what's the connecting services. So a lot of things there which can be used on transportations. Educational apps. There are a lot of apps there which in education field, games. There's quizzes, and there are a lot of information available on different topics and contents. So definitely in marketing, in a business, having an idea, having an app is definitely a good thing, and you can connect to the customers. You can share your ideas. There's a lot of things you can do if you have great ideas, and if you can connect to the customers and share the information. So the future is good. It's great through using mobile apps. All right. Now, job market. So you might be thinking, what's for me if I become a mobile developer? Definitely, if you look into the websites or if you Google it, so number one job in IT is app developer. So that's the hottest job in 2016, and it's going to be the hottest job in future because everything is going to be in mobile apps. So we won't be creating the desktop applications. And these days, I've been supervising undergraduate and postgraduate capstone projects. I'm going to discuss that later. So when we go to the client and when we ask them their problems and what type of solution they're wanting, they say that they need mobile apps. And we ask them, why do you need mobile apps? Because it's easy to use. They can use anywhere. So it's easy to record. They can communicate easily with clients and other different people. So there are lots of reasons why they need mobile apps. And that means we need a good programmer. So I just did some search this afternoon in seek.com.au, and there are lots of mobile application developer jobs there. So yeah, you can be a part of the future. So where do we start from? So that's the job market, and you wanted to get into this job market. So where do we start from? And to get to work as a developer, what do you need? You need some work. Always in the industry, they look for some work experience. So RMIT, we do offer the different courses, programs. We have a Diploma of Information Technology, Bachelor of Information Technology, and a Master of Information Technology. And even if you wanted to go ahead, there's a doctorate and research program as well. So the one good thing what I like about these courses, which we've been doing, is this wheel projects, work integrated learning. So what we do in this wheel part, so we go to the client, we understand the requirements, we understand their problems, and then we integrate that problems into our courses. So that's the wheel part, this work integrated learning. So what you can do is you can get an experience, hands-on experience, industry experience by learning with our courses. So that's something very good. So that experience will get you into the job market. And other capstone project, especially this capstone project, is under undergraduate and postgraduate courses. During the final semester, the students are asked to form a group, and then they need to go outside and they need to get a project. They need to solve the problems. So especially these days, all the projects there are mobile apps projects. Most of the projects that we are doing there are capstone projects. So in this one, basically the students, what they've learned, their knowledge and the skills, so they need to apply those skills on the project, and it helps them to understand the context more clearly, and also to get into the job market, to understand the client. There are a lot of benefits working with these wheel projects. Now, this is some of the projects that we've done in Diploma of IT. It's the last semester, and this semester and last semester we designed an app, which is a grading app for City West Taekwondo, and we've got a IT graduate, Louis, who is going to discuss his experience working on this wheel project. So in this, what we did was we went to this client, and then we gathered all the requirements, what they're after. So he needs database, he needs a website, he needs a mobile app. And what we did was we put all the assessments into different courses. So students are working on one project for different courses, which is fantastic. We did some website designing and creating a simple app for Simaza Homestay, and this is in Philippines, and which I think client we had a connection with the client, and the students did a good job creating something very useful for them. We also created a website for this one of the schools, Tamil schools, and we also designed an app where the students and the parents, they can see what time their class is running, if there's any change in schedules, and also some directions. Simple, useful, informative apps we designed, and the students did a good job in that one. These are some of the projects that we did last year, this year and last year. Yeah. So that's something interesting where you are able to work with the industry partners while you're doing your course, and this helps you to understand the requirements and understand how to develop some applications, a lot more other information as well. Now, if you have great ideas, what you need to do is you need to learn how to build an apps. So the two things, programming and designing. To build an app, so you need to be a programmer. To design a great apps, you need to be a designer, software engineer. So these are two different things which you need to be able to, understand and do things. Now, programming aspects, you need to understand object-oriented programming. So all the programming languages for creating a native apps is OOP, object-oriented program. So you need to understand object-oriented programming principles, and then once you're able to write apps, and then if you wanted to be a designer, so you need to understand object-oriented design principles and apply those design principles into an app, and you can design great apps. And so you can be a part of this growing technology. So because the future is mobile applications, and so if you wanted to create something innovative, do something better, so there is an opportunity. So be part of the growing age. The programming concepts, the same concepts that you learn in any other programming languages. Only the difference is here we're using different API, different framework, because when you're designing mobile applications, there are many constraints. The constraints like screen size, memory, processor size. So these are the special characteristics which we need to know apart from the basic functional programming. Yeah. If you use MIT App Inventor, if you know the basic things, it takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes to create a mobile apps, Android apps. I'm talking about Android apps. If you want to create iOS app, then you have to use Xcode and Swift programming. And to create Hello World apps, it's very simple. If you want to create some meaningful app, then in Android Studio, in App Inventor, it's easy. It's all drag and drop. You can use your the phone features, the camera features, and use that straight away. So straightforward. But if you wanted to create apps on Android using Android Studio or iOS, it's a learning curve. How much do you know about object-oriented programming? So basic apps is simple. It takes, few hours you will be able to start that. But to create a meaningful apps, it takes time. Does mobile app development fall into category of computer science? It is IT, information technology. It's a part. Computer science. IT is a part of a computer science. Yeah. What is a good IDE toolkit or SDK to start with? So here it depends on what platform you're looking at. Definitely, IDE is something where you can, for example, say Xcode is pretty good for iOS. Android Studio is the default platform, Google platform for designing Android programs. And if you're creating Windows Phone, then definitely there's a Visual Studio, and using C# is the one. The cross-platform, Yeah, I've been looking at few cross platforms as well. Xamarin is the best one. Xamarin. So recently Microsoft bought the Xamarin, and they have integrated the Xamarin on the Visual Studio as well. So you can that's something very good. Uh, One of the best cross-platform technology. C language is the best programming language for beginners. Oh, any programming language is good, but if you're good at one programming language, there's I think the basic is the same. It's control structures. There is the repetitions, and every basic is the same. But only later on, when you apply into different contexts, the syntax is different, and there might be different, say, you might different frameworks and APIs should be different. Do we have to be smart in mathematics to create a software? You don't have to be smart, but you need to be a little bit good in logic part, yes. All right. Now, what I'll do, I'd like to introduce Louis, who is our IT graduate, and he did work on this City Link project where he, with a group of students, created an app, grading app. So let me put Louis on. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, my name's Louis Abasta. I am from the Philippines, and I have actually completed the Diploma of IT that Sunam was talking about. Um, One of the best things that I found about the Diploma of IT is that even though you have absolutely no programming language, it gives you a really good foundation about programming in general. So like the first semester would be very basic and it would give you really good foundations into learning more programming language. Um, we started with basic HTML programming, basic Java, and then the stuff that we learned during that time, we carried on to the next semester where we had the project with City West Taekwondo. Um, we did three projects where we had to make a database, sorry, a mobile grading app, and a website as well. Um, while we were doing the mobile app development, we used Android Studio. To begin with, it was actually pretty difficult to use, but as the semester progressed, we got a lot better and it we got used to it and it became a lot easier for us to make the app itself. I think a lot of people here were saying that they don't have much programming language, which is perfectly fine because when I started, I had absolutely no programming language. I did maybe very basic Visual Basic, which didn't really apply to what we were learning, but as you progress through the diploma, get um you get a lot more used to the logic behind how you program things. And the good thing about doing the diploma as well is the classroom sizes are really small, so there's around 30 students maximum per class, which um which makes it a lot easier if you have any questions for the lectures, and if you have any questions, they're more than happy to help you out. Um, yeah. The good thing about doing the diploma is you have two pathways into going to your bachelor's. There is the BIS, Information Systems, and if you go into that, you get 1 year's worth of credit. Whereas if you go into the Bachelor's of IT, which is what I'm doing, you get 4 credit points, which is half a year. In the bachelor's, you have to go to lectures, tutorials, and practicals, which are split up into 2 hours. Whereas in the diploma, you have all the classes put together. So you have 4 hours of the class instead of having to go to like multiple classes, lecture, diploma, and lecture, tutorial, and a practical. Towards the last semester, while we were doing the projects, I think I was putting in 10 hours a week just to get the projects done. But it really depends on you. I think with any job that you get like out of university, it's always going to be difficult because they require you to have work experience. So programming you can pick up pretty easily if you understand the logic behind it. Like we learned how to code in Java, HTML, SQL Server, and as you progress while you're learning it, um, you pick it up pretty quick. There are a lot of free websites online that offer programming courses, such as Code Academy, which I use pretty often, and it helps you get the basics down before you actually start learning.
All right. Thanks, Louis.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. Okay, guys. Now you've heard from Louis that his experience doing diploma at RMIT. So the WE project is a pretty good one, and basically you get to have experience, industry experience while you're learning at RMIT. So we teach Android and iOS, both application development environment. And if you know anyone, it will be very easy to pick up other one. And in these courses, you get to know this cross-platform development as well. I'd like to thank everyone for joining with me regarding seminar webinar, mobile application development. I hope that you get something out of this webinar. What is mobile applications, and the future about mobile applications, and what course to carry on, and how to be a part of this, the growing age. Thank you, everyone.